Yeah, hello everyone. Quick update from the PicoRAM Ultimate project, an Raspberry Pico based SRAM emulator and SD card interface for single board computer systems such as the ones you are seeing here on the bench. So this is the Heathkit ET-3400 trainer, CPU trainer or microcomputer learning system from 1977. Um, Equipped with a Motorola MC6800 CPU, 8-bit, right? Not the 68K. And PicoRAM is emulating the memory. And given that it also has an SD card here, it can also load and save memory content from and to SD card, right? So you can basically load programs. And I demonstrated this in a previous video, of course, right? So you can just load a program and from SD card and execute it. And so this makes the cassette interface or something like a serial interface and terminal computer to upload data unnecessary. So I consider this quite convenient. And of course it's also lightning fast, right? Much faster than a cassette interface or a serial terminal. So here again we just loaded the ticker tape demo program from the manual again, and it's running. And I previously demonstrated that you can just plug this board into a stock unexpanded ET-3400. So basically you grab the signals from these sockets, right? And we routed those into the front socket. So basically the chip select signals as well as the write enable signal we grabbed and via botch wires and put them into the front header here, right? And we also, of course, need the address and the data bus. So in the previous video, I grabbed those as well from the expansion port header. But in principle, you can just write via flat cables from here into those sockets if your machine doesn't have the expansion header populated, and it will just work as well. However, if you have the expansion header populated, right, then you might as well use PicoRAM Ultimate in this configuration, which allows you to have more memory, right? So here we now have 2 kilobytes of memory instead of just half a kilobyte. So this is 4 times more the amount of memory, of course. And that means that the highest address is not at 01FF anymore, as it would be with the stock system, but the highest excuse me, address is actually at 07FF. So you see I can still change this byte here, right? Say I change it to 33 and it's still retained, right? So there is actually usable memory at this address, whereas everything above 2 kilobytes starting at address 0800 I can no longer change, right? So yeah, 2 kilobytes of RAM with PicoRAM Ultimate, and it neatly plugs in, no further botch wires required, provided that you have all the expansion port header signals populated. Otherwise you can use either just the sockets here, right, and just emulate the stock SRAM. Yeah, but most machines will probably have the expansion header, and then you can at least get 2 kilobytes of RAM. And also note that this does not require the other mods, which are usually required for the memory expansion box. That means usually you would have to replace the clock crystal, right, to a faster one, as well as swap the CPU, I think, to a 6809. So this memory expansion here does not require any of these mods, basically. So the only mod that's required is you have to have the expansion header plugged in if you want 2 kilobytes. Else you don't even need this, right? So if your machine doesn't have the expansion header, you can just use wire ribbon cables from the sockets into here, and that'll also work. You just have the half a kilobyte of original RAM, but you can then of course also still use the SD card interface, which is quite convenient. Alright, so yeah, I think that's what I have to share for now. Oh yeah, one more note, of course. If you want the memory expansion here, provided by PicoRAM Ultimate, you will need one more chip, and this is the address decoder here, given that it's now no longer sufficient to just decode the address bits which are present at the sockets, right? Because it's a larger memory range now, so we need 2 more bits for 4 times the amount of memory. We now have to decode the full 16-bit address, and for this we are using a GAL chip here, which provides the address decoder and the select signal for the Pico, so that it knows when it is addressed, right? When it is a memory address that it is responsible for maintaining. And yeah, eventually PicoRAM Ultimate will also be providing the 6116 socket here again, right? So this would still work also with the microprocessor single board computer systems. Like, you know that this is an evolution of the PicoRAM 6116 emulator that I created for the microprocessor, and this one of course had 6116 SRAM chips, which is a 2 kilobyte chip. So this is going to be on board here as well. So it should also be eventually able to work with the microprocessor, and then it will work with 2112 based systems such as the Heathkit here, but also with single board computer systems that are equipped with 2114 SRAM chips. And I have 2 systems here which I want to use it on. One is a LabVolt 6502 trainer, and I also have the Philips MC6400 Master Lab, which is a SCIMP 3 based trainer from 1985. So this is what those 2 sockets are going to be used for. Alright, so but that's it for now. Stay tuned for further updates soon, and eventually I'm going to put the Gerbers and the sources, firmware sources, on the GitHub repo, so you can make your own, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Alright, until then, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.